Breadboards. What is a breadboard? What does it do? Well, we're going to be taking a look at breadboards today here on another video on electronic science and to see what kind of circuits we can create with them. Ones like these. Stay tuned. So today here on electronic science, we're going to be talking about breadboards, like these little things right here. Now, breadboards aren't what you're thinking, like, like a cutting board for bread or anything like that. These things are what we use to power circuits, but without soldering them. So kind of like prototyping and things like that. So that if you, screw up, you could simply unplug it and just replug it back in however, you need to plug it in. And there are many ways these things work. So before we make any circuits with these, I'm going to explain to you how these work. So this is basically how a breadboard works. So on the top here, you have these little positive and negative icons. So obviously with the positive one is where you connect the positive voltage to power your circuit. And the negative one is where you plug in the negative. And these are like little rails right here. Think of these as like a train track rail. And this is where kind of like the train of electricity goes across, positive and negative, on both sides. Either side has it on a breadboard, right? And then in here in the middle, these are like little, these are the areas where you plug in your circuits, but they don't go across like this. All of these little, I guess you could say sections are unique to each other, so they do not connect to each other. So this one is its own, this one is its own, this one is its own, this one is its own. So basically the power doesn't go this way, it goes down like this. And you can see how they're labeled A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. So that's just how, you might know, like, okay, this is, I'm going to plug in LED A for red and LED, I'm going to plug into B for green or something like that, just so that you memorize it better. And the power goes down like this. So in order to power your circuit, these rails aren't connected to here. Well, these rails only go this way. They don't actually go down. So you would take a jumper and you would just say put the negative one on here, on this one right here, and then you might take the positive one and put it on the one next to it, and then these two become live, and then you can put your LED and power your LED like normal. That's basically how a breadboard works. And on the back, well, yeah, it's pretty boring. I mean, you can peel this thing off right here, and it becomes sticky so that you can stick your breadboard onto things if, you're going to be using it, permanently. And same works for the other side of the breadboard right here. You can even power things from here to here if you wanted to. It all depends on what you're doing. And the way you power things are with these little jumpers that we'll take a look at here in a minute. So that's basically how a breadboard works. So now let's build a couple of circuits with these. So as I was mentioning earlier with these little breadboards, you need jumpers in order to make them work. So I have a bunch of them all over here, and they look like this. So hopefully the camera will focus here. They have these little metal tips on them, and you just bring the voltage over to wherever you need it to go. So for example, I'll come around here and show you guys closer to the camera. If you wanted to bring, let's just say, the positive voltage on this rail to this one right here, what you do is you take your jumper and you plug it into the positive rail like that, and then you would jump it over to here. And then this whole rail right here that this is connected into becomes positive. And then you take your negative and jump it over to there to negative, and that one would become negative. And you can put your LED between the two, and it would turn on like normal. Very simple. So let's create some circuits. So right here, I have a couple of like LEDs right here. Yellow one, green one, and a red one. Now you don't have to use all these LEDs right here, but why not, right? So right here what we're going to do is we're going to need our lab power supply or a battery. There are even like these little power supplies, which I do have one, but I don't have it with me right now. Someone else is borrowing it for a different project, but they do have like little power supplies, and you can plug them in like a little 5-volt supply of voltage, like one of these little connectors like this, and plug it into the wall and power it like that if you don't have a power supply. But I do recommend using a power supply like this one right here. So let's plug it in. Plug it in here, and we'll turn her on, and we'll set it to 3 volts. Let's see, up to, there we go, 3 volts. Now, when you're connecting these, like I said, we're going to connect this, so we're going to connect it, actually, let's just do it like this. So we're going to connect an LED. We're going to do a red one for this example, because red is much brighter. And then, so, these, if you notice, these LEDs, you can see one of the, I guess you could say the legs is longer than the other one. So the short one is the negative one, the long one is the positive one. So we need to note that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to put the negative one closest to this way. So that's how we're going to remember that. And I'm going to put it on F. Right here, just like so. Stick it in there and you can see it grips onto it pretty good right there. See, to change the angles a bit. Right there. All right. Then I'm going to take a jumper. I'm going to take two jumpers. I'm going to take this red and black one so that we have good polarity here. And I'm going to connect them to this rail at the very end of this rail right here. So red to red, and we'll go black to black. And you can see that they're just connected to the, I guess you could say the power rails, right? Or the power lines, whatever you want to call them. And then we're going to connect the red to the red and the black to the black. As you see, it's not turning on because even though we have power now going to the circuit here, these rails aren't connected to here, so therefore there is no power going through it. So now what you need to do is you need to bring like the power lines to a house kind of a thing. So then what we're going to do is we're going to hook up, we'll disconnect it from our supply here. We're going to hook up one of these little jumpers on the positive to the positive pin of the LED, whichever row it's sitting on, and the same for the negative. So let's do that. But before we do that, I want to tell you about something. LEDs, I highly recommend using resistors. This is just a 10K ohms resistor right here, so that if there's a sudden jump in voltage, it won't kill your diode. So that's definitely a good idea. So I'll show you how you wire a resistor. And while you can wire it without a resistor, it's definitely not recommended because, well, if there's a jump, say goodbye to your LED. So we remember that the negative went closest to this way. So I'll take the positive rail and just connect it to the positive rail on the LED. And then we're going to take the negative rail and I'm going to connect it somewhat far away from the LED on any rail I really want. And then I'm going to take a resistor and bring the ground or negative voltage over to the negative side of the LED. Give me a second here, guys. Resistors are thin wires, so sometimes they're a bit hard to push in there. But you can see, here's our little circuit. Very simple. So what happens here is you have the positive going to around and onto the positive rail where the LED is connected, and then a negative going to this rail right here, which goes up to the resistor, and then the resistor resists the current to something, good for the LED, to the negative rail on the LED and powers the LED. Double check to make sure this is all wired in correctly, and which it is. So now we're just going to connect it, minding the polarity so that we don't kill anything. And there you go. LED turns on like so. Let's get it close up. Above our circuit, everybody. You can see just like how I explained, positive going to the positive part of the LED. You could see how, here I'll get like a finer tip here. You can see how this, the positive goes to this rail right here, and then these bring it to the positive part of the LED. The negative one goes on from the negative rail over here and goes to here, which the resistor is connected to that part and resists the voltage going into something that will blow up the LED, and then brings it over to here and onto the negative rail for the LED. And you can see if I increase the voltage to something high, like let's just go like to 8 volts, technically the LED should blow up, but it doesn't because the resistor is saving its life right now. So I'll bring the voltage back down to 3 volts so that we don't, heat up our resistor too much and wear too many things out. So that's basically how our breadboard works. It's very simple and easy, and you can connect multiple things to it. So for example, we have 2 more connectors here. Actually, we have 3 more, which that's an uneven number. So unfortunately, we can only connect 1 more LED to it. And you can power this from anywhere, really. So we'll do the positive here, negative here. Connect our yellow LED because it's still somewhat bright. We'll do the negative that way just so that I remember. Doesn't matter which way you have the negative. I just do it to my right so that I just remember right is, negative. Just something that I do. You don't have to do it. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. Put that over there. Take a little resistor. Actually, I should probably back that up a little bit. Connect that to there. And that to here. Oh, wrong one. And you can see our LED turns on like normal. So there you have it. And these aren't connected in series. They're not connected in parallel. They are wired to their own, their own part of our supply. So they're not wired in series or parallel. They're just wired on their own system. You can't really wire, you can wire things in series and parallel on here, but you can't wire it on the board. You have to physically bring it out. Like, if I really wanted to, I could probably connect this in here like this. Probably wouldn't be able to see it because my finger's going to block it, but even that's kind of hard. I don't want to short anything because I don't want to break anything, and this costs money. So that's basically how a breadboard circuit works. And we can do many things with breadboards, like connecting these to Raspberry Pis, which is, for what you guys don't know, is a single board computer, if you don't know that. And you can make these LEDs do things like turn on and off, or make a traffic light system like I did earlier today. Or, so it'll go flash green and then yellow, then red, or you can connect little motors to it and stuff like that. So we'll definitely be doing some single board computer programming with electronics very soon here on the channel. But before we do that, you need to know how a breadboard works. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, please remember to leave a thumbs up on this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, then hit that little bell that pops up right next to the subscribe button, and click all so that you get all the notifications when we upload. Share this video with your friends and family so that they know how breadboards work, I guess. And without further ado, I'd like to thank everybody for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video on electronic science. Bye, everybody.